And this is a great way to just build up sustainable habits 1 minute at a time. And there's 5 different ones that you can add so you can build up to a 5-minute daily practice. And it doesn't have to be your morning routine. It doesn't have to be your evening wind down. It can literally be spread throughout your day. And so the first way is with our things we take care of in our head. So we've got to take care of our thoughts and we've got to take care of the stress that we're managing. And let's be honest, try to take on too much. We try to do it all. And I always tell people, if you try to do it all, you're going to do nothing well. So it's better if we can let things go, but that's so hard. That concept alone is so incredibly hard, especially for women who are so used to doing it all.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of She's Got It Together. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm Samantha. Each week, we peel back the curtain on what it really looks like to have it together.
From the messy moments to the milestones, we're here to share it all.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into today's topic.
Are you stuck in a sea of chaos, completely overwhelmed and exhausted? Well, I have Dayna Abraham here today, and she is going to help us navigate these challenges. Welcome, Dayna. I'm so excited to have you here today. We are going to be talking about mom burnout. And before we get started, I'd really like to have you just kind of introduce yourself to the audience, give a little background, just so that, you know, how they know you're the expert in this particular topic.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. I am Dayna Abraham. I'm the founder of Calm the Chaos Parenting. And I originally started out as a blog, Lemon Lime Adventures, when I was in the throes of burnout. I feel like nothing like starting a blog, having a baby, and homeschooling all your kids to really just like celebrate burnout.
Do it all.
Do it all. Yeah. So what really had happened is, I like to say I was kind of born into chaos, grew up in chaos, and then when I became a teacher, my favorite kids were the kids that came with a paper trail behind them, the ones that all the other teachers had pretty much already dismissed. Yeah. The kids knew it. They walked into the class, they already knew, and I taught preschool.
Oh my gosh.
Then I had my own kids. And when I had my first kid, I thought I was going to be the world's best mom because I had this education background, because I had grown up and overcome so many hard things growing up. I thought, I've got this. Like, someone's going to show up at my doorstep with balloons and a parade and a sign that says world's best mom. Like, I thought I was going to win the prize. That did not happen. Like, the farthest things happened. My oldest son was kicked out of his first preschool. I was the one that was, every time I showed up at kindergarten, the teacher would say, we need to have a talk. And then first grade, he was getting sent home early. And by second grade, he was suspended more days than he was actually in school.
Oh, no.
Yeah, things were getting really rough. And so there came a moment where he had another meltdown at school. The teacher or the principal called, you need to get here. I was 9 months pregnant and drove 45 minutes to the school, walked in, and they had everyone in line waiting for me, including the police.
Oh, boy.
So they marched me past my son and into the principal's office. And in that room, the principal sat me down and said, you have 2 choices. You can let this officer take your son into custody, or you can take him home and don't bring him back till you figure out what's wrong with him.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for me, for my son. Yeah. And we just, we went through kind of all the things that you do. We got an IEP. We did all the things. Yeah. But then it was just so evident that he wasn't going to get his needs met in that school, and he didn't fit in a traditional school setting. And so I quit my job and, I had the privilege to be able to do that, but I quit my job. I stayed home with him, and I was just determined to help him. 1, not hate himself for not fitting in, and 2, not hate the world for not understanding him. Yep. And at that same time, I looked online and everything was picture perfect. It was in the heyday of Pinterest days. This was 10 years ago, and everything was perfect. And you Googled homeschool and all of this, and and everything was beautiful. And I was like, I don't understand how I'm the only one who has no idea what I'm doing. And so I decided to start a blog just documenting the good and the bad and the ugly. And I started that and I think my daughter was 3 months old. My son was 7. And then I had another son who was 5. Wow. And yeah, just kind of jumped in. So talk about, really adding to the chaos myself as I was documenting. And I definitely went into massive burnout, as I was working through that and trying to help my son and, trying to just kind of walk through things. And again, that was 10 years ago. I've gone through different versions of burnout throughout the years. But more than that, I've helped parents online now. Now I share what I do and what I did with my son. And in our program, we actually help parents who are going through burnout and don't realize they're going through burnout, or how to recognize signs of burnout even in their kids. And because it's way more prevalent than people talk about.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, no, that's really interesting because I actually did homeschool my 2 girls. It was during COVID, but when I just, when they pulled them out of school and everything else, or closed the schools, I discovered that my youngest, who at the time would have been in first grade, she didn't know all her letters. She couldn't read, obviously. All these things, they had been pushing her along. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was able to kind of bring home, we started her from the basics again and moved her up. And I did homeschool her for 2 years. And my oldest, who at the time would have been in 7th grade, she was just the 1 year. She really wanted to go back to school, to be with her friends. And she did great homeschooling. She was super easy. She was older. She just did well with that. And my youngest, she did okay. It was a struggle, obviously, but I think that having that opportunity, because I didn't know anything about homeschooling either. I mean, it was just, okay, COVID's here. I don't want you to die. Let's just keep you home. So we just, we went with it. But I mean, fast forward now, my youngest, she's definitely never had any discipline issues. She's very high strung. She's ADHD. She's dyslexic. She has a lot of learning challenges. So the traditional school didn't work for her either. So when we put her back in school, because I could only homeschool so long, it was just, there's my mom burnout. I was just like, I can't, because I was still working. At Ultimate Bundles, and I was, running customer service and doing a million other things. But, putting her back into school, we ended up putting her into a Catholic school, which we are not Catholic. I'll just say that. But we did do this, and it was because of the class sizes and the, direct attention she was going to get. And she's been there for 2 years now, but we did, that was a huge hurdle that we overcame. But yeah, I get where, you're saying that your son just didn't fit in that traditional mold. I mean, I don't know how they can say that there is one. There's
well, I've come to find that none of my kids do. It's just taken longer for each kid. My 16-year-old just came home to homeschool, and I'm not someone who loves homeschooling. I'll just put that out there.
Yeah.
But my daughter is 10, the one that was 3 months old at the time. So she's 10 now. Aww. And she spent an entire year being model student at school, except it was hard to get her to school. Her anxiety was so high. Getting her to school was really hard. And then we fought that like tooth and nail with the school with her for a while. And then finally I just kind of leaned into what we teach parents around the world anyway. And so what we really realized is the school environment was so incredibly stressful for her. And she was masking, which means covering up all of the pain, all of the difficulties at school. So they weren't seeing it, but it became really evident when she broke her arm and she sat in school for a whole day and didn't tell anybody.
Oh my gosh. That's awful.
It was so easy for me in a meeting to then be like, they're like, oh, she raises her hand. She asks questions. I'm like, does she ever ask questions when she has a problem? Does she ever ask questions when she doesn't understand? And they're like, now that you mention it, I was like, did she raise her hand and tell you that her arm didn't feel right? And they were like, no, she didn't. I can't believe she sat there all day and it was broken in 2 places and needed surgery. And that was,
you would almost think, though, that the teachers, they're just not in tune, because you can't tell me that she didn't, have some painful expressions on her face at any point.
She wasn't. No.
Nothing.
My daughter would mask in front of anyone and then let go at home. And And so many of our kids are doing it. I think it's a really good like visual for what's happening with so many of our kids at school. And I know we weren't going to talk about school, but
I know, but hey.
but it leads to burnout for parents as well, because we're pushing our kids, we're pushing the school, and we're thinking we must be doing something wrong. And I just want you to know that that's not the case. Like anyone listening, if your kid's struggling, if you're struggling, it's not because you're doing something wrong. Like there are systems in place that are not working for many of us, especially after we went through 2 years of COVID and systems didn't change after that. Like you said, you got a huge insight into your kid. Well, nothing changed at schools because of these new insights. Nothing changed at schools when we realized that some kids actually thrived at home doing their schoolwork. You know, and some needed to be in a school setting for some things, but at home for other things. And we could have really adapted the school system, but it's like, I always tell people, it's like, you know, when you have a canoe, it's easy to steer. One person tells the other person, hey, put your oar in the water.
Right.
But when you are steering like a big ocean liner, it takes hours to get it to change direction. Right. And that's what's really happening when we think about the school system. And it's not the fault of teachers. I was a teacher. It's not the fault even of administrators. It's a collective whole systemic problem.
Absolutely. It's one that I just don't think anyone knows truly how to start to fix.
No. And I think that even that, the pressure, the worries, we think about like burnout being because we're doing too much at home or because maybe we're dealing with a sick kid or something like that. Really, it is all these pressures of the world expecting us, the moms, to kind of just keep carrying on and keep pushing through and keep putting on a pretty face and making sure that, you know, our kids are still going to church and going to school and going to their school events and that our house is still organized and clean and that we're still paying the bills on time. All those things are still expected of us. But the world has changed a lot. And I think we're becoming more and more aware of all the things, pressures and unspoken demands that are being put on parents, especially moms.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. All right, let's take a step back really quick.
Okay.
Like, I want you to just kind of explain mom burnout as far as like what it is specifically.
You can cut that out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting over something.
Oh, no good.
So when I think of mom burnout, I think of our sensory systems and our body systems and our brain functions kind of shutting down. Like we have hit our limit. And, you know, we get told as parents, especially moms, that we've got to fill our cup. We've got to fill our cup. But my daughter made me these little, I don't even know if you can see them. They're so tiny. These are little coffee mugs.
Yeah, those are adorable. Yeah.
I can fill this cup all day long and it's not going to do anything for me. It's too tiny. It doesn't have enough capacity to actually sustain me. Right. And that's what mom burnout is that you are past your capacity and it's just overflowing in all areas. And the way that the brain works, the way the body works is that when you are in stress, your executive functioning skills go down, meaning your ability to remember, your ability to organize, your ability to literally function in everyday life. And then that adds more stress and then it becomes this vicious cycle. So what happens is then moms will end up, and this can happen to all humans. This is just humans, you know, psychology and biology. But what happens when we get to that stress point is that our sensory system gets on high alert. We are, you know, it's kind of like having a sunburn and then putting an itchy sweater on top of it. Oh, yeah. Like everything is just more bothersome. The kids talking, the kids laughing, the kids roughhousing, the noises outside, the touching, the feeling, you know, like all of that becomes so much that our bodies can't handle it. And then we end up blowing and losing our cool. And then we think something's wrong with us because we did it, when it's really just your body letting off some of this steam and trying to regulate in some way, even if it's not the most accepted, quote unquote, way to let off that steam.
Yeah, definitely not a positive way, but it's just got to come out.
I mean, I actually would even reframe that. Like, I would say that it's not seen as a positive way, but I would say that it's a neutral way, right? I was steaming some vegetables last night for dinner, and at some point the steam got to be too much in the lid, and the lid started popping up and down and then like just flew off the top of the pot.
Yeah.
It's going to happen at some point when our body, our brain, our sensory system, our nervous system can't hold all that we're trying to hold.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless we can find a bigger cup somehow, it's going to constantly overflow like that. Yeah. So, okay. How do we prevent this? Like, what can we do to kind of help alleviate? Because I don't think it's preventable, but I mean, how do we manage it?
So I think some ways that we have to reframe the way that we look at our own taking care of ourselves. Because for so long, self-care has been seen as we go take bubble baths or we go away from our kids. But we need daily sustainable practices that are going to help our mindset, our mood, our body, and even give our sensory system a break. Sorry. Inside of my Calm the Chaos book, I talk about the 5-minute energy plan. And this is a great way to just build up sustainable habits 1 minute at a time. And there's 5 different ones that you can add so you can build up to a 5-minute daily practice. And it doesn't have to be your morning routine. It doesn't have to be your evening wind down. It can literally be spread throughout your day. And so the first way is with our things we take care of in our head. So we've got to take care of our thoughts, and we've got to take care of the stress that we're managing. And let's be honest, try to take on too much. We try to do it all. And I always tell people, if you try to do it all, you're going to do nothing well. So it's better if we can let things go, but that's so hard. That concept alone is so incredibly hard, especially for women who are so used to doing it all. But we have to kind of get everything out of our head and then choose, like, I'm only going to do this one thing. If all I did today was this one thing, and that might be rest, today's a good day. And then really listening to our body when we're doing that too. And really saying, this is a priority. This is going to get me one step closer to what's most important to me and my family right now. The other thing is a daily practice of something for our mindset. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I said there's kind of 2 for your head. There's one to get the stuff out and get out of that overwhelm that we're constantly in. And the other one is for our mindset because things are coming at us all day, every day. And so it is easy to get sucked into, I'm the only one. Nobody cares about me. What does it matter? What's the point? And we start getting sucked in these negative thought cycles. So if every day we spent just 1 minute taking a big, deep breath and just anchoring, like, I am enough. I am worthy. I am worthy of taking 5 minutes a day for myself. Now, my goal is that you can take more than 5 minutes a day for yourself, but I am worthy of this time. I am worthy of this energy, and finding something that really works for you to focus on. If you're in the throes of it and the thick of it, you might be practicing something I call an anchor. I talk more about that in my book too, but this is something that you're practicing ahead of time, what you're going to tell yourself when your kids are fighting.
Yeah.
So let's say your siblings always fight, and then you start catastrophizing and thinking they're going to have the worst relationship ever. So in the morning, you can picture that. You can visualize that moment that they're going to fight, and you're going to stop, take a big deep breath, and then remind yourself, they're just having a hard time. And that way, when it happens later in the day, you are prepped and ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one way.
Yeah, being prepared. I think that's
yeah.
I mean, that works with everything, really. It's just
100%
prepared. It's such a basic thing, but nobody does it.
Yes. And so there's lots of other things you can do in that little 5-minute energy plan, even if it's just like texting a friend, if it's sending a little voice message to your aunt or to your mom, whatever it is, just something small to connect with other people, something that moves your body, something that takes care of your body. They can be really small things, but you just kind of hit on it of being prepared. The more that we can create plans for the worst storms and you're in it. If you're in burnout, you're in it. And your number one goal is creating safety for yourself and safety for your kids. And so what happens is that we start looking for solutions because we as women are problem solvers. Yep. So we start looking for a routine that's going to fix this, or a rule for our kids that's going to fix this, or a new schedule that's going to fix this, or a new beautiful chore chart that's going to give everybody else the chores.
Yes.
And we're not there yet. We've got to realize we are in the eye of the storm, and we've just got to hunker down and take care of ourselves and make sure that our kids are safe. Mm-hmm. Then we can step by step get to what I call ahead of the moment planning or family success planning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Because I think that is something that we all do, is we're just so focused on fixing whatever is broken or what we think is broken, that we're not, truly taking care of the issue or letting the issue, blow over, whatever you need to before you dig into these big process changes. Yeah, that's a really good point. So with the kids, having a parent or a mom, with the burnout, how does that affect them? I mean, obviously, we throw out some negative energy, but what are we doing to our children by not taking care of this issue?
Well, I don't want to add more stress on top of your already stressful situation. So I want to just acknowledge that you're in burnout and it's hard. Yeah. And I think that you're in burnout because you're already thinking about all the negative things that this is doing to your kids. And so while there are negative effects to your kids seeing a mom in burnout, there's more negative effects of you beating yourself up because you're in burnout. Because what you want is your kids to learn from your modeling. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this is me. This is me. I've been going too hard, too strong, too long, and I can't go any longer. I'm going to end up in the hospital. That's a negative effect, right? If you end up in the hospital, there's no one else to care for your kids. Yeah. If there's no one else to be there for them, that's a big negative. And so what's better is if you can say, hey guys, I've been really struggling. I've been pushing, I've been going, I've been doing too long. And I think I'm making myself sick. And so when I yell at you, I need you to know it's not about you. And when I need a moment to myself, I need you to know it's not because I don't want to be around you.
Yeah. Again, preparing, it's the same concept. Just
sure but you're speaking it out. You're letting them know in on your world, because I think so many moms think that we have to be so strong for our kids. And the more that we can not be as this strong superhero figure to our kids, the more we actually are a hero to our kids, because they see that it's okay to make mistakes. They see that it's okay to have a bad day. They see that it's okay to have a bad month and still be loving and still be amazing and still be wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you don't want to put more negative on, the mom with burnout, because that doesn't fix anything at all. So now if you have a partner at home, a dad or whatever, how can he assist? What can he do to help the situation a little bit? Is there anything? Is it just leave me alone, don't touch me? No,
I think we assume that our partners know what we need when sometimes they don't. I think a lot of times partners, and I'll actually say I see a lot on the mental load or being the default parent and all the stuff that you can't see, that especially stay-at-home moms take on, the figuring out the groceries, the doing the laundry, the organizing the day or the week, or the making sure that everything's in place for the kids' school. Those things go unseen by the partner sometimes. But as an ADHD adult, I'm going to just say something I've never said, publicly. I am that person that puts those extra default mental load on my partner, because I struggle with those executive functionings. So we used to struggle a lot because he just assumed I knew what he needed for me to take the load off of him. And once we started talking about all the things that are going into his day that I don't even notice he's doing, right? Or all the things that I'm doing that he doesn't notice I'm doing. and we start looking at what are all of the invisible, hidden, burdens or tasks or demands on us in a week. And now we can start dividing those up. And I wouldn't say equally. I would say divide them up based on each person's uniqueness. Yeah. So like I said, like laundry for me is very, very hard. I don't remember to put it in. I don't remember to take it out. I don't remember to fold it. Like I just don't remember. And so for me, if I know my husband is going to magically take, and it's not magically, I know that, but when the laundry is overflowing, the laundry is going to make it down to the basement. It's going to get washed. It's going to get dried, and it's going to get brought back upstairs. I can then fold it. And I can then put it away. I have no problems with those things because they're right in my face.
Yeah, they're the same
no
level
problems,
you are.
easy
You don't
to
have
do.
to go.
Yeah. So we have started leaning into some of those things.
Yeah,
I would also go to my partner, and there are things that we started kind of outsourcing. And I know not everyone has the privilege to do this, but we started outsourcing. We do not clean the poop in our backyard. I know that is the strangest thing in the world.
You know what? There is, I've seen the company that does this, and it cracked me up years ago when I saw it, but hey, look at this. There's a use.
It saves me and my husband so much mental energy to not have to think about the dog poop every day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. We do have someone that comes and does like the deep clean because neither one of us have the energy or the mind, like the mental capacity to do that. Because we're running a company and raising 3 kids that are neurodivergent, and I'm neurodivergent myself. And so I know that I need those supports. So that is a way that your partner can help is you can say, hey, I know you don't have the capacity. I know I don't have the capacity. What can we sacrifice so that we could get someone to come and clean up the dog poo? What could we sacrifice so that someone can come and do the, pick up our laundry twice a week? Because that happens too. Like there are so many services out there now, and there are so many people that want to help with these like daily things. You can also talk to your partner about, hey, I know you really like home cooked meals every single week, every single night, but like, I just don't have the energy to prep the food, shop for the food, to prep. Well, let's back up. I don't have the mental energy to think of the meals and meal plan, then go shop for the food, then put all the food away, then prep the food and then make the food and then make sure that everyone in the house has the stuff that they need. I either need help or we need a meal service, or we need to come up with what we did in our house is we had theme days. Every Tuesday's Taco Tuesday, every Friday's Pizza Friday. Like every Monday was no thought. Every Monday was spaghetti and meatballs. Every Wednesday was chicken and vegetables. Like we just came up with the thing that we knew everyone would eat. We worked on it with the family, and then there was no thought. It just was like, this is what we have. So no matter who is up for cooking, like I don't have to be the one that cook. Yeah. And we also like let go of a lot of have tos. So I am like, if I got to choose, I'd be the crunchiest person in the world. We wouldn't, we would compost all our food. We would recycle everything, and we would reuse absolutely everything. We wouldn't throw anything away. But I don't have the capacity for that right now. And when I was in burnout, I definitely didn't have capacity. So paper plates came out. Doing takeout came out.
It's just a season,
you have to allow yourself these, word retrieval is hard for me with ADHD. So, I'm trying to think like concessions. You have to allow yourself these like oops plans or, hey, I can get away with this right now because of the season I'm in. And I think the more that we can talk to our partner about that, the more we ourselves can let go of that, the more you're going to be able to get out of this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the little things a lot of times, the little things that you can offload. I mean, I guess laundry is not necessarily little and neither is meal cooking, but in the grand scheme of things, those are things that are daily, repetitive, and there's people or services that will do it. So if you have the means, for sure. I mean, I've had a house cleaner, on and off for a couple years. We don't have it right now, and boy, do I miss it.
Yeah, and we don't have it right now either. And so I walked into my downstairs, and our luggage is still out from when we got back last Wednesday. And my my kitchen is full of dishes from cooking last night. And I just took a deep breath, and at first wanted to get really stressed out about it. And then I was like, no, we're focusing on other things right now.
Yeah.
And that is what we have to allow ourselves to do to get out of a difficult place.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely need to give ourselves grace. I mean, without doing that, we're going to just keep circling this crazy eye of the storm and never make any headway. Wow.
Yeah. I would say if you remove things from your schedule, if you are feeling like you're in burnout and you've removed things from your schedule, I would say you could probably remove, the same amount again, and still you haven't removed enough.
Right.
We're so used to going, doing, and have tos that this is very uncomfortable. Yeah. But if you pause and slow down for a week, a month, maybe even 6 months, in the long run, you are going to be so much further ahead, and you are going to be in such a better headspace, in such a better health place for your body, for your kids, and for your job. Like, all the things are going to get so much easier if you do take the time. It's going to take a little longer than you think it's going to take. Like, I need people to know that. And when I coach women on this, I look at their list and I'm like, but still, look at what you got on there. Like, do we really need the house completely clean for the birthday party on Saturday? I don't think you do.
Yeah. That's funny you say that one, because that's one of those things that it's like, if it's a room that no one's going to be in, I'm not touching it. I don't have time. I've just made the birthday cake, or I've decorated it, or whatever. Now I'm putting decorations up and all of that. I'm going to clean the common areas and of course the bathroom, but I'm not worrying about my whole house. Yeah.
Well, and now that you're talking about worrying, I think that one last thing that's kind of coming to me is that morning thought time that you do. That's a place to brain dump your worries and then let it go. Like, I like this concept of a parking lot, because some of us are so afraid to let go of our worries that, like, but what will happen if I let go of these worries? And I don't think about these things. Like, our brains get addicted to worrying.
I don't think we know we're worrying, honestly. No. We do it so often.
We do it so often that we're just like, but if you're thinking about something like, where's my son going to go to college?
Right.
And your kid is 5, and hey, they may be 16, 17, but if there is nothing you can do about it right now, today, this is not a worry you need to have on your plate today. Put it in the parking lot. And that alone has helped so many parents get out of burnout, is because they stop focusing on all the worries of all the things in all the areas. And they go, wait a second, there's something I can do about this today. So I'll put this on today's pile. Everything else goes in the not today, friend.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a amazing thought on that, because I thinking about that right now for my 15-year-old with college, or, how, financially, like, how are we going to afford it? Do we have enough in our college fund? Like, are we donating enough, or, putting enough in there and things like that. But yeah, you're right. We can't do anything about it now,
for that one, that's a great example. It's not going to help you to worry about it every day. What you can do about it is set up a meeting with your partner or with your bank and say, hey, I've been having these thoughts, and I'm wondering if there's anything we can do today that's going to make sure we have enough in there for when they go to school.
Yeah.
Boom. Done. It's a one-day thing instead of it being every day for years.
Yeah, no, that's
and then doing nothing about it.
Right. Well, and that's kind of, why we've gotten to this point. It's like, oh my gosh, are we doing enough? We've never talked to anyone, like it's that daily, just, it's like, it's in the, I don't know, I've got like a bucket of daily worries, I guess. And I just go through everyone every morning. It's like habit, and then do nothing. But yeah, you're right. If we actually,
but what if you just said, those are, I'm not even going to pull you out. But you know what? Today, it's a Saturday. I've got some capacity, and I'm going to do some research on finances for college. So I'm going to pull that one out of the bucket, and today's the day I'm focusing on that.
Yeah. It's such a simple concept, and it's something that is so hard to do.
It is so hard. Yeah.
Wow. Well, this was a great conversation, and I would love for you to share where listeners can find you. I'm sure that they're going to want to reach out and get some more great information on this. So just let us know where can we find you.
Well, you can find me everywhere at Calm the Chaos Parenting. And so that is on social channels, and we have our own podcast. And then you can also grab the book, Calm the Chaos, a fail-proof roadmap for parenting even the most challenging kids. And the whole first half of the book is really about you. And so it's going to help with that burnout. It's going to help with those worries, those fears, and setting up those habits that will help you handle any of the stress that comes your way. And if you do get any of those things or check me out there, please reach out and let me know what resonated. I love hearing from people who have heard me on other podcasts or people who have checked out our services and things like that. So please reach out and say hello.
Wow. Thank you again for being here. Navigate these challenges. And we will be back next week with a new episode. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us today on She's Got It Together. It's been a real journey sharing and laughing with you all.
We hope you're walking away with a smile on your face and a bit more confidence in your step.
Remember, you're not alone in this crazy ride called life. We're all in this together, one day at a time.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and of course, share this podcast with all the incredible women in your life.
Join us next week for more stories, more laughs, and more real talk.
Until then, keep embracing your unique journey and remember, you've got it together more than you think.